Perfect. Hello, everybody, and welcome to this Game Changer series. Today, I'm with a very special guest, Horatio. Thank you for accepting this invitation and for creating this space.
Thank you for receiving me. It's a big pleasure, and also for me, it's an honor to meet you repeatedly and once again now.
So, Horatio, the way that I got to know you was here in Berlin. I attended a couple of years ago to some ceremonies that you were putting together using cacao, but also not using anything, just the power of the ceremony and the ritual was very impressive every time that I had the chance to be in those spaces with you. And for me, those spaces that you create really open doors, and they were inspired by a different vision of the world. So that's why I believe that your story fits perfectly into this Game Changer series.
Thank you.
So the first question that I would like to ask you is just for you to share with us a little bit. So introduce yourself. How would you? What is it that you do in your own words? And then maybe a little bit of your background.
That will be a little bit of a task because everything that I'm doing is not traditional. So I can say if we want to say like that, I'm a self-made something. We can say a self-made shaman, or the word that I use now mostly is a way shower. Mm-hmm. And also how you say a game changer. So that will be in a short word if I will say what I am.
That's interesting.
Not what I am, what I'm doing, because what I am is what I am, like any of you, any of us.
Yes, a way shower. And where this way of being developed? Can you tell us a little bit of your background?
My personal process starts somewhere in '89. After the political change, it was possible to attend some yoga classes, and then through that, my initial process started. Mm-hmm. I come from a position when I was a crazy teenager, student, party, alcohol, and all kind of things, and then getting into meditation and yoga practice and tantra teaching. And then this went for about 14 years until this whole thing didn't satisfy me anymore. And then I decided to step out and to search for myself. About that time, I started to have my first long distance traveling. I was dreaming for very long to go to India, and finally I reached some opportunities. I went there, and then I was hoping that I can find there more. But for that time, for me, it didn't open much. I have been repeatedly being there. I don't remember anymore, 4 or 5 times or something like that in a period of about 2-3 years. Mm-hmm. But then eventually, at some point, by going there, I meet one guy who presents himself as a guru and as a shaman in the same time. And he was doing satsangs. And then being in one of the satsang and being with his people, I started to hear the word ayahuasca. And I was like, what is that? I only knew a few words, a few sentences about that, 2 or 3, but I have no idea what that will be, because in the formal socialist Romania, nothing like that exists. Not even the idea of being something like that. And then I start to be curious. I start to ask the people around. From the information that I hear, it was like, it can be interesting. And then I was insisting to have the experience. And then they say, we are not doing this work here. We are doing it in Brazil. And if you are coming there, you will get what you want. At the time, I was living in Denmark already. And then my whole life collapsed in a kind of how it was now, the lockdown. No more job, no more money, no more house, no more lover, no more nothing. And then I say, okay, what I'm doing now? And I say, go back to Romania, is nothing there, then okay, the only possibility that I can see now is to go to Brazil. So I decided to go to Brazil. And I decided to go for 2 weeks and end up being there for 2 months and a half.
It's really interesting, Horacio, if I may interrupt you just a
Of
second.
course.
How life sometimes creates the ideal conditions for us to make this kind of those kinds of radical decisions. It's like you say, I had nothing in Denmark, I had nothing in Romania, so I was fully free to take the
Not
step.
fully free, fully conditioned, not fully free, fully pushed to make that decision. It was not a freedom, it was a conditioning. It was the only option, because I was in a process when I was in such a deep depression that I didn't care about the next day. And if I wouldn't know that killing myself is not an option, I was ready to do it. So it was not a freedom, it was a corner, the only and the only possibility.
Interesting. And then you went to Brazil and starting working with ayahuasca.
I was in a Santo Daime community, and I went for for a retreat, and then in that retreat, and then after the retreat, a lot of things happened. And that was, let's say, the beginning of the shamanic path.
And
because yes,
I've done also work with ayahuasca for many years, and I know that plant, that sacred medicine, opens so many doors that we could keep on speaking about this for hours. But I would like to ask you, what did ayahuasca do for you at the time? In a nutshell, what was some the most important lessons that you learned because of the work that you were doing with that plant?
Before replying to your question, I can say that it's not the only one who can do that, but that was what was meant for me in that moment. It helped me, first of all, to understand one thing that I didn't know: the conditioning which are coming from the family and from the society. So basically, I went there with some questions, and then the guy who was leading everything, he was speaking about this all kind of this topic regarding the wooden child and all the things coming from the family, from the mother and from the father, and that puts a ton of question more. So basically, in the end of the first retreat, I was like, I come here for nothing because I didn't get any answer. I just come with tons more questions. And therefore, I need to go to him and to say, look, I don't have money anymore, but if I'm leaving now, I don't get anything. I just make it everything more complicated. And I was lucky enough because he saw that I'm crazy, that I'm looking desperately for an answer. And he say, if you can change your plane ticket, you can stay longer. And we make some agreement, and then I stay there for a month until it comes the next retreat, which he give it for free. And then basically on the second retreat, it was my moment. In that moment, magic happened when I finally managed to meet the spirit of the plant. And when that communication and that union happened, then everything changed. I can speak about this for a week, but for the moment, that's enough. And then after that, I have the chance to go to one place where because after that I start to go repeatedly to more other places, which was again not traditional and unusual. And then I end up in a place where they cook, and then I was there for a couple of days. And in the end of that process, I had my own big revelation. And after that, I was in a kind of a ceremony constantly for a week without drinking anymore.
It's interesting to listen to you speak, because of course I can connect with my own process with ayahuasca, with the sacred medicine, and as you say, it's so deep that we could speak for hours. But I want to highlight something that you mentioned before, that is that you got all these revelations through the work with the plant, but it's not the only way to achieve this expanded consciousness of state.
Yes.
What do you mean by that? How do you do it in your work?
So from what I learned from her, later on I applied that to everything that I'm doing from that moment until now. So basically my understanding is like this. We can use anything that is helping us to generate, to create a deep, continuous, and pure trance state. If we manage to do that, then we will create a bridge between the consciousness, the conscious level, the conscious mind, and the subconsciousness. When we pass through that bridge, we start to meet the different things which are stored on the subconscious level. Some of them easily available, and some of them which have been hidden or closed behind walls or into very heavy boxes. So basically everything that I'm doing now is based on this.
That process of going into trance and accessing that deep hidden information can be done with medicine, but also not necessarily with some sacred plants.
So again, I'm incorporating all this now. Can be done with what we call a strong medicine or a teacher plant. Can be also the how to say, the family of the mescaline. Can be also the mushrooms. We can do also with what I call soft medicine, and there is the very famous cacao now. We can do with breathing, like something like holotropic breathing or any kind of other kind of trance-inducing breathing technique. We can do with body work. We can do with dancing, the way you also do. So basically, it's not important which one. It's important that the one who is creating the space know how to do it. And also, in connection with this, to have a good team of helpers that he or she knows from the other dimension, which are coming for sharing, helping, and healing without any hidden agenda.
I believe that what you say is important in many different ways. First of all, because not everybody is ready to work with ayahuasca or with any other hard medicine, as you say. And this is one thing that you also work with people who want to experience these states of trance in a much softer way, but it doesn't mean that they are not deep. This is one thing. And the second thing is the inner motivation that the person who is holding the space needs to have. What is the not only the motivation and the purpose, but also the peace of mind that this person has in order to actually be at service for the others.
To can be at service, first you need to know yourself to a high degree.
Of course.
So that's first. Second, it's important that the one who wants to hold the space is also in an advanced enough process of inner healing. Because otherwise his inner troubles, it will be reflected in the ceremony. And also if they are inner, how to say, ego issue not solved, there will be also hidden agenda in the person which is facilitating, in terms of money or in terms of influence over the people.
It's interesting what you say, because I can see it in myself, and I can see that it depends on the place where I am coming from. The invitations that I put out resonate or not with people.
Yes.
And as you say, we need us who are working in creating those spaces of transformation. We need to do the work first, or we need to constantly be doing this work of self-inquiry, self-development. Otherwise, it's not going to be coherent.
No, and also there is no an end to this work, in a sense. So therefore, by sharing, by working, it's a constant process of self-developing. And with every new session, you will learn more, and also with every interaction with every person and with every group, something new it will be revealed. More other high-level spirit will come to help, and the working is expanding and expanding and expanding.
Horatio, I wanted to ask you something regarding the usefulness of this kind of work in today's world, because I see that your work is based on shamanism of all ancient traditions. It has a lot to do with mysticism. It has a lot to do with spirituality. And what we're seeing now is a really big crisis because of this COVID situation and this pandemic. People are so we're all in a way in a crisis.
Yeah.
The question would be, how does this work, the work that you do, can support us in this moment?
So first of all, I will not say that my work is limited to this medicine.
Mm-hmm.
I will say that basically my work now is based on more like a psychology approach,
Mm-hmm.
based on this connection with the subconsciousness and the things which are coming out from that, and based on my own practice.
Mm-hmm.
The shamanic thing and all the other things are just tools, but it's not the process on itself.
Mm-hmm.
This is one. The second thing is that in the moment when we understand very deeply this work, and in the moment when we have a good connection with the high consciousness, basically we are not working only on one level. We are not working only individually. We are not working only on the small group that we are working with, but we are working also on a deep collective consciousness level.
Mm-hmm.
And the more we understand how to do that, that can be expanded also not only on the human consciousness, but also into the cosmic and galactic consciousness. The more we can expand consciously into that.
Mm-hmm.
So basically, regarding this, there is no limit into this kind of work. And as a result, like I say, it can affect everything.
Mm-hmm.
It's just depending how much every person can understand this process, how much they can receive and incorporate the experience, how they can integrate this in, and the main thing, how they can incorporate this into the daily life.
Mm-hmm.
Because for me, that's the part, that's the thing, not the ceremony on itself. For me, what I insist more and more is into the daily life, and to convert the daily life with all its aspects into a practice.
Mm-hmm.
And these kind of ceremonies or ritual, or how you want to call them, to be more like a testing moment to see where I am in this moment. What should I let go? What should I heal? What kind of download I receive? And later on, how can I put that in practice into my daily life every single day? So for me, that will be the thing.
I fully agree with that line of questioning. Is not only about what happens with me during these trance states, but what can I do with the information that I receive when I come back from these trance states. And when
for me that's much more important, because there are too many people who are going just for an event and then it's finished. And then they come back and they continue the same way, and then they go again and come back, and it's nothing out of that.
And I also see how your work is based on these principles of interconnectedness,
Yes.
And wholeness.
Yes.
That everything is connected in a way, and everything is one in one level. And the work that I do with myself, it has an impact on the world that I create.
Exactly.
Horacio, just one last question before we close this interesting conversation. Is what is the world that you are striving for? What is the world that you want to contribute to create? Especially now that we're in this crisis, as I was mentioning before, I believe that this is the ideal moment for us to change. But change into what? This is the question that I'm asking myself, and this is the question that I want to ask you. Thanking you for this space. So please go ahead.
The what we want to create is not only about me, it's about us as a collective group, what we design. So the thing is what we design. And into this, each of us, we have to discover our gift and to put our dreams into manifestation. Regarding me, I will say peace, one thing which is vital, wisdom, love, real sustainability, connection with the nature, friendship, respect, and the possibility to really find a way how to handle the different ways of being. Because many people speak about only one human race, and we are not only one human race. We are several races on this planet as, how to say, created from different places. And therefore, these need to find a way how to accept each other and how to start to cooperate and to find a way to make the whole thing functioning.
That makes a lot of sense to me, and I'm sure, because I have experienced it myself, that your work allows us to come to that place where we feel that togetherness, that interconnection, and where we can find this love that you were talking about.
And also into this mix, not to forget that you are not alone in the universe, and there are many other brothers from the start which are waiting for us to understand that they are there and to invite them to join the party.
Well, Horatio, as I was saying, thank you very much for your time. I wish you all the best in your work now here in Berlin and wherever the life takes you.
Thank you.
And yeah, thank you.
Big honor. Thank you.